FTVVDeclan, which is the Fermanagh Economic Development Organisation, announced some plans this morning. How impressed were you with those plans, and how do you feel the United States can help in actioning those plans?
I like to think we help on a daily basis because we're always fielding requests for help from people all over the region and executing on those requests, and that's part of the function that we have in our office. Secondly, I make a point of going to a different place every time I come here. And this is my second time here since I was appointed, and I hope it won't be my last. But I suppose also the other part of it is that Fermanagh has a strong SME culture and a strong entrepreneurial bent. And some of the programs that we're running are particularly directed in that area. And also I think, again, the companies that are investing in, I think 31% of the companies that are small and medium enterprises here are export driven. And so, I think we as a government can help them in the trade and investment space as well. We're working very actively with the government and focusing on each county, and I work very closely with Minister Foster in relation to Fermanagh, not just because she's from here, but because trade and investment is part of her brief. I think if Northern Ireland doesn't change its public-private sector balance in the next number of years, it's going to get left behind. And it's a difficult transition to effect. It's painful. It means people will lose jobs. It means investment will have to go in different directions, and people have to reskill and reapply and so on. But the reality is, at the moment, you've got 71% of the public employed in the public sector. And so the public sector, in essence, in some respects, exists to employ itself. And you've got to get the private sector number above 50% in order to be competitive on a fully sort of global basis, and I really think that's important. And so I've been encouraging the private sector in the last number of months to really think about that and to start driving their own investment and to start taking risks and start moving forward, because that's the only way Northern Ireland is going to progress in long-term competitiveness.
But we do have in this particular area, as you heard this morning, the isolation, the nature of the area makes it difficult to do that.
Yeah, it does, but not impossible. First of all, you're isolated in some respects, but you've got huge advantages in other areas. And with connectivity and with technology today, I believe most places, especially places which have 1.7 million people, will become location agnostic if you take the right approach. It's all about technology and choosing the right sectors. And the industries that drove the economy in Fermanagh in the past are not going to be the ones that drive it in the future. That doesn't mean they can't participate in it, but the real growth has to come from things like connected health. That's going to be the engine of growth. And leveraging the institutions and the universities that are bringing out students who want to participate in those kinds of businesses. Because if you don't give them that opportunity, they're going to go somewhere else. And so it's essential from the point of view of retention of young people too. But this is not going to happen overnight. And you've got to be patient, but you also got to be willing to take risks.
So Fermanagh as a county, how impressed were you with Fermanagh, and how do you feel that the county is addressing its own problems?
Very impressed. I've been here twice. I've talked a lot with Minister Foster about the region because, again, she's from here and we talk about it a lot because we travel a lot together and we go to different places around America promoting Northern Ireland. This resort in itself is an unbelievable monument to the kind of entrepreneurial culture that exists in this region. I think people have a real can-do attitude. I think people are willing to dust themselves down after the recent economic crisis and go on and do great things. I think they realize the challenges that are in front of them. I know that they are realistic about how hard they have to work to make it happen. But you also are in the sectors that are going to be competitive, I believe. So I think the report was bang on the money in terms of the areas that need to be focused on. And I think you've got a strong team in FTVVD that are focusing on it. So there are several reasons to be optimistic. By far, your problems are not as bad as many other regions in Northern Ireland. And your unemployment rate is lower, I think 50% of the average in the entire region. And again, I think that's because you've acted ahead of the curve. And today's meeting was further example of you doing exactly the same thing.